No, straight up. You let some Dre's drop. You let that new iPhone drop. Let that new Gucci drop. And I ain't got no issue with none of it. If that's what you like, man, go, man. If you got it, go bless it. But these things, they don't matter in the scheme of things. I'm talking about things that can change our communities, our homes. That's going to make things better for us. So I'm not about power to the people, but I am about power to the people. But what power am I talking about? Am I talking about the Afro pick, or am I talking about the things that actually give us power? So right now, everybody's talking about um, the Tulsa massacre, right? And I would encourage you, anybody that's listening to this, I would encourage you, if you have opportunity, especially if you have young kids, teenagers, take the trip to Tulsa, do the tours, talk to the people. Is definitely life changing to see those group of people who had nothing, but they believed in each other and created that commerce, created it during a time where the whole world got in fear and said we have to dismantle this so that other blacks won't be empowered by it. It is so, so powerful. So I'm like, now, can we have Black Wall Street now? People's like, no, we can't do it. I'm like, we can. We just got to do new math, the new math mind. So when you ladies said that, those things just start to just in my mind, just like, so it's going to take a generation. Well, no, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. It's going to take generations to come together to do it. And I value your opinion. I value your thoughts. I value your ideas because when you look at the Lion King, even though he didn't know when he was going to die, I love Mufasa for preparing Simba for that day. He tells him, Simba, one day the sun is going to set on me, and all that you see is going to be yours. Well, we see the sun setting on black men after black men after black men, but the black men that's left behind, they don't know what's theirs. So it's time for the Mufasas to rise. We've been having what was his wife name? Narabi. Narabi.
Mhm.
We don't have no issues with Narabi. Narabi is here. So I don't want to go into my whole men thing, but you guys, what you said, it just triggers these things in me. I've been a product of divorce. I know what that's like. And I know what it's like to have bad credit. And I know what it's like to be suicidal and want to end your life. The Bible says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Some of this stuff you have to say so. And now in the hood, we know what that means. So you know exactly what it means. So when I hear that, I take the cynical part of that, but I put the power behind it with the word and let the redeemed say so. Okay, so they said that. Okay, so to it. At the end of the day, we still have the power to make things happen. But I think it doesn't happen if we don't have these conversations. If we talk long enough, we're gonna find something that we disagree on. But that doesn't mean I'm upset and I'm mad with Bree and I'm gonna block her and I'm gonna talk about her. Girl, Destiny, you think she's something. She got one braid tied too tight, and she Bree, girl, Destiny, talking about she gonna act in a movie. Girl, girl, she butchered our theater in high school. She talking about she finna. I mean, it's just stupid. Y'all, come on, man. Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let y'all talk. Y'all have any other thoughts? I know I said a mouthful because y'all press some stuff, man. You can't press me on. I get diarrhea of the mouth and I want to talk about it. I really want to see
Mhm.
these. I'm serious. I really want to see these things happen in all of our communities. And I think the power of us doing it in small, we can impact the big, right?
Mhm.
Um, what are your thoughts, guys? You think? Do you think? Tell me what you think about it, because I know. I mean, you spoke, but I've said a bunch of things after what you guys said.
Well, I think what you said is important, like about if we don't agree with the way things are going, obviously we need to vote. And of course, we're not talking about the voting for the president because
Absolutely.
that's at the top of the top. We're
Right.
talking about the local small votes that affect us locally.
Yes.
And that it is important. And I think that it is also important for, if we want to talk about generations changing in the future, I think that it's important for us to make sure that we are showing that to our kids now.
Yes.
I think, I mean, I know it's kind of weird, but I allow my son to watch the news. He's young, but I
Absolutely.
allow him to watch the news because I like to hear his thoughts on certain things that happen. Because, you know, kids are honest. They're just going to tell you straight up if, you know, that don't sound right, or dang, that, you know, they're going to tell you honestly. And so that sparks conversations that you can have. And I think that as parents and older people, we don't really give kids enough credit for what they remember. And maybe a conversation that I have with him now, like, well, if you don't like the way that happened, then you know how to change that is we go vote and we make sure that there are people in charge who can change that. He might remember that conversation later in life if I have it enough. If I have that conversation with him enough, he might remember. And if we had more parents having conversations about how to change as kids are growing up versus they get to the age to where they're like, I don't like this. They want to go and protest, but they ain't never voted ever because nobody ever talks to them about it. So I feel like a lot of these things and a lot of these issues that we have just start with talking to our kids more and putting them in environments to where they can see that these things are real. Like take them with you to go vote so they can see, like I've taken him with me to go vote. And so I'm explaining it to him, like the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't like that the streets got potholes over here. So I want to put somebody in charge that can make a change on these, like stuff like that, that maybe it might sound crazy to be talking to a 7-year-old about stuff like that, but I don't know, maybe it might stick with them. So I feel like that those are the types of things that we have to start doing more versus just assuming that all they kids, they just want to go out and play or whatever, which they do want to play. But as parents, and especially as Black parents, we have to do better at educating them because they're not going to get it anywhere else. We know that they're not going to get the education that they need anywhere else. I didn't even know about voting locally probably until I was out of college, honestly. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know the impact of it at all. So that's why it's important to me.
Yeah. Talk to us, DB.
Sorry, I had to switch to my phone because my computer is about to die.
No, you're good. You're good. we still see you in the backyard glistening and your hair blowing in the wind. Look at her, Bria. She's just out of control, balling out of control.
I'm just back here relaxing.
I know that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with what Bria said. I feel like, and I would be the same way if I were to have kids. Just being kind of direct and open and honest with them about like real things that are going on, because kids are smart in this day and age. They definitely going to be smarter than we were, because they just have more. They have access to more, and that just gonna make them honestly be more curious about things.
It is.
And a lot of times parents will just rub kids off for that, or you know, you don't need to worry about that, but they do. And the best time to teach that is when they're younger. One thing I like about Bria, her son is my godson, but she teaches him about like just financial literacy, just by small things that he teach him about, like saving, and she'll have him like use his own money when he go to the store and he wants something.
I love it.
Just teaching that stuff young, because I don't fault my parents for it, but I feel like that's something that I had to teach myself in my 20s. And if I would have learned that younger as a kid, I would have knew more. Even just going to college, knowing how to budget, how to save, just simple things like that. Knowing about credit, those are all things that I had to learn in my 20s and kind of teach myself. And it caused a lot of mistakes that I made, but just lack of knowledge, not knowing. And that's how, majority of our communities are. We're very financially illiterate. And I think it really starts in the home, honestly, because then I don't think they're going to teach it in schools. That doesn't benefit them especially for Black kids to be learning about financial literacy. That doesn't fit into their agenda.
Absolutely.
So I think it starts there. I think that's the importance. It's starting in the home, and especially with younger kids now, just starting early with them and teaching them that.
Oh man, I love that. Now I want to say something to you, Bria. First, I want to commend you for exposing him, even at the age of 7. I want to say this to you. Let me tell you what it does. So, other parents that are listening, no matter what your kids, obviously they have to be at an age of comprehension and understanding. So you putting your 6-month-old baby down and making them watch Fox News or whatever. And they just watching it. They're just not watching it. But obviously, they have to be age appropriate to follow. Not only do I want to commend you, but let me tell you what it's doing. And I'll kind of tell you through my story. One of the things I'm so grateful with my mother was my whole life, she'd been telling me part of my purpose, right? I've been knowing the foundation purpose thing that I was going to do since I can remember. She's rehearsed it in my ear all my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and she never let me get away from it. Now I spent a great portion of my life running from it, but she was faithful to rehearse it, tell me, rehearse it, put it in front of me, and then put me in and expose me to it. So when you say having him watching the news, my mom used to do the same thing to me. Now, one of the things she wanted me to do and go into, and she believed it strongly, she wanted me to go into politics. And I was around it. Growing up, we did support it. But for me, I knew it just wasn't my fit. I felt like I would make an impact in a different way. I would support it, but I knew I wasn't the person for that. But her exposing me to it, you got to think of an octopus. So when you expose your son, what happens is his heart begins to grow tentacles to those things that are important. So, an octopus has 8. So think about all the things that he's like, oh my God, because you talk about it, you expose him to it, it'll grow a tentacle to it. It'll grow a tentacle to this. It'll grow a tentacle to that. It'll grow a tentacle to this. And what happens is as he begins to grow, those tentacles will begin to pop because he'll begin to hone in on the things that mean the most to him or mean the most to her. Now, we see this in the community in the flip side. I know I'm about to get in trouble, but I don't care about it. We do a great job of this, exposing our young men to football, to basketball, to track, to baseball, to running and jumping. And I don't have no issue with it. My son played Little League sports. But when he was in Little League sports, I just knew he's not me. So I never tried to make the pressure on him to be into that. And I'm like, if he decide he want to get out and do something else, we're going to support him in that. So we already are used to doing it, but we have to do it on both sides of the ledger, right? I want to encourage you to continue to put him in environments. And as he gets older, begin to put him in environments that make him a little uncomfortable. That way you find out what's in him and then he sees what's in him. And he'll begin to understand, to hone in on his purpose. Like you said, we talked earlier about, I wish maybe if they could have told me earlier. Remember we were talking about being like the weather broadcaster? But it's like, man, you telling me now, I'm coming out of it. It's done. Like it. I mean, thank you for telling me. I do appreciate it, but I needed it 5 years ago. So you save them time, you save them energy, and you save them effort. My first book, God Has an App for That, I wrote it to my son. I tell him it's a love letter to him. It's a playbook for life. He was 18 when I wrote the book. I understood that he wouldn't understand the significance of it at that age. He probably won't understand the significance of it maybe until he's married or until he has kids or he's lived long enough. But the point is, no matter what season of life, he'll always be able to pick that book up and it'll be some nuggets in it in every chapter that can serve as a compass, serve as, when you go to play bowling if you're not really good, or for little kids, they put the bumpers there. It's okay to have bumpers in life until you're mature enough to be able to roll the ball down. And I think having these conversations, even like I said, every time I do a podcast, my goal is to reach people who are hurting, right? People who need help and people who need hope. This podcast is about second chances. I'm the poster child. I feel like I've had 1,000 chances, right? If it took 1,000, I've gotten here. Hopefully for you, if it took 1,000 for me, hopefully you only need 300 or less. You get what I'm saying? If that's the goal, well then, man, we did great. And then maybe the next person, maybe I needed 1,000, you needed 300, maybe they needed 90. So the process is working, right? We're getting better. So I think continuing to do this, and we have to press it. We're talking now. I'm already thinking about ways, how can we come together as a community with more people? And cool, I appreciate virtual, but let's sit down and have some real dialect. Excuse me, ladies. Excuse me. That's my
Bless
throat.
you.
Thank you. My throat saying crawfish. I want crawfish.
Oh.
So, how can we sit down together in this community? Not only because a lot of times we say, when we get together, let's just network. I want to network. That's how me and Destiny connected, right? But I also want to problem solve. I want to problem solve. So just the best of both worlds. I'm looking at the time. Before I let you go, I want to say some statements, and I want you guys to respond to it because I'm on this big kick right now. When we're talking about coming up for air, we talk about a lot of generational things. And I think one of the ways we can come up for air in a general sense, some of the things that we've been suffering for such a long time, some of that stuff we've been suffering because we have not been consistent. It's a thing that we call consistency is the only cheat code. My family, we're built off of that. I realized there's some things I just don't have. There's some things I don't know. And there's some things I couldn't give to my kids. But me and my wife, what we decided to do was we partnered with people who could get it, who could give it to them. Ain't no sweat off my back. You know what I mean? All I care is that my kid arrives at the destination. Doesn't matter who had to come help us in the system and get him there. But the one thing I know I had, there are many deposits that I've had to give them, but one of the number one deposits that I've had to be able to give them is that of consistency. They can say a lot of things about their father, but in the midst of it, they got to say, my dad, he's consistent. They can depend on my consistency. And I think when we can learn how to be consistent, even in the hard, tough, ugly times where you don't even know if you're going to make it, if you can always learn to be consistent. Consistency and your effort can cover so many holes when you don't have the talent or when you don't have the knowledge. I'm not saying don't get the knowledge, because knowledge is important. But if you're consistent enough, I'm a tactile learner. I don't know what it's like in your world, in your careers. I know Destiny because I spend a lot of time in insurance. But even in what you do, I came to your job and I saw you do it enough. You would have to end up hiring me because I would do it so well. Because once I see it, it's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's why the word of God is so powerful. When you can see who you are and you can mimic it and then put consistency with it, I'll put myself up against anybody that's in the room. I don't worry about the credentials. I don't worry about any of that. I understand there's a power in being consistent. So when we see things in the community that consistently go wrong, what are your ideas about putting consistency in the place of these things to help us come above water? Because Destiny said it, man, I was going through, but when I look back, I was always above water. And that's a good thing when you go through. But eventually, when I look at Destiny now, she more than above water. She on a yacht with a toe hanging off the side. And come on, she way different place now. She ain't just no above water, right? So what are some of those things that we could be maybe consistent? I don't know if it's principles or if it's maybe programs. What are some of the things you guys would like to see or want to see or would like to be a part of helping bring consistency to areas that can make our communities, our families, even whether it be ministries, business, whatever it is, talk to us about that. I think that's probably where we'll end our conversation because you guys have said some other things. My mind's running 1,000. I want to ask you so many questions, but I know I can't have you on forever. So that means we'll just have to come back again. But talk to me about that. What about what could we do? What's on your mind or what's on your heart? Because I believe this too. I think sometimes I used to be the type, I'm a very vision driven person. I believe in vision. I have a lot of visions, but I want to see the visions come to pass. I've learned this. I used to would keep it to myself. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate admitting it, but it's true. It's like, man, ain't nobody finna steal my idea. Ain't nobody finna take my idea, go make money and do all this other stuff. But that's not, I've learned this about God. God has a unlimited source. And then I learned that what God has for me is for me. I don't care whoever does what. It's 1,000 podcasts on. Man, praise God for them. I ain't in no competition. I'm focused on what I'm supposed to do. Whether 10 people watch this or whether 10,000 watch it, I'm gonna put it out. I ain't moved by that. I'm gonna be consistent with what He gave me. And He says, when you've been faithful over little, you qualify to be ruler over much. So talk to me, ladies. Talk to me about how can we be consistent?
So the things that's constantly on my mind is, like Destiny said, financial literacy.
Let's go.
And
yes.
Building. Okay, what we all want wealth and generational wealth.
Yes.
So those are the things that are always on my mind. Like I'm always thinking about not even just how my son will flourish and thrive, but what will happen with his kids. And I think, like you mentioned it earlier, we have to give out free stuff to get our people to come and learn or come to something to where we can have these kind of conversations.
Right.
And even when you do, they still might not show up. So I feel like the information that we need to be able to build generational wealth, which in my opinion leads to better mental health, which will probably lead to less crime, which will probably lead to more families with 2-parent households, which will probably lead to better fathers. Like all of these things, I feel like it begins with just knowing like how you can be better. Can like save, invest in buy things and have trust funds. These things that the other people can do that we can't do, but it's because we don't know. And they don't learn that at school either. We don't learn it at school. They don't learn it at school. They learn it from their families. But we know that our families can't teach it because we don't know it. So I think that, to me, something that I wish that I could be a part of is a program that could be in our public schools, because public schools are free. But the difference is you got to go to school. So if the information is in school, the correct information is in school, and everybody has to learn it. You got to learn it to graduate out of school. I feel like that is the only way. If there is a financial literacy program placed in school that teaches them about credit, about loans, about interest, about investing, about saving, about retirement accounts, about all of this stuff, then they come out of high school at 17 or 18 and maybe they make a different decision. Maybe they don't decide to take out loans to go to college. Maybe they decide to, okay, well, I was working from 16 to 18. I saved up $5,000, $10,000. I'm gonna use this to go start a business, or actually I'm gonna go ahead and invest it and I'm gonna stay with my parents instead of trying to be grown and move out and pay for this apartment. So I just feel like there will be better decision making around that age where we make bad decisions, between 17 and probably like 25. You make terrible decisions because you don't have any direction. So anyways, I said all that to say that I think that in the school system, there needs to be a financial literacy programs. And I know that in some other states, they are starting to implement something like that. And I wish that we had that here in Texas, because I think it would really, really, really help.
I got you. Loud and clear. I love it. Talk to us, Destiny.
Yeah, I agree with what Bria said. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier. I feel like a lot of this starts and can start at a young age. And, you know, kids spend majority of their day on the weekdays in school. So why not learn it there?
Yes.
And, you know, in high school, I feel like that's like the most serious time to learn that before you're an adult. Most people that turn 18, they're an adult, but they know nothing about being an adult. I didn't know nothing about being an adult at 18. So I think those classes for sure, almost vital, honestly, for public schools. I think they might have them at some private schools. I'm not sure, but our communities can't afford to go to private schools. So I feel like it's something that should be, it should be a part of the public school's curriculum, even in grade school. They have videos of them on YouTube teaching like financial literacy. I feel like that should be a part of the curriculum in these public schools. And that alone, I feel like that's our losing game as far as Blacks, our communities, because whites, they're kind of taught this, and if they aren't, they learn it easily because the parents, they have these trust funds, and they're able to just throw money at them. And so they don't really, you know, get out of high school and have these same problems that a lot of Blacks have, because we're having to basically teach ourselves these things, how it works. And, you know, our parents basically had to do the same thing, just trial and error. And a lot of the errors cause a lot of setbacks. And so you kind of have to rebuild from all those setbacks and things that you did to mess up your credit, or you messed over money. It takes a lot of time to rebuild that and correct those mistakes. And some people, they just keep making mistakes for years, and they're 50 and 60 years old, trying to survive off of Social Security. And even that, things are changing now. I think I read that they're doing away with Social Security in 2033. Everything is constantly changing, to where you're gonna have to have like your own set account to even have retirement funds. We're not gonna have, when I'm 65, I'm not gonna be able to go file for Social Security because it won't exist.
Bingo. Love it.
So I think it starts there, just financial literacy with our youth, and that honestly is something that I would like to be a part of. Just teaching and understanding that. I don't know everything, but I do know some things, and I try to keep myself grounded and learning more and more, and creating a better financial situation for myself and my future family.
Man. Whew. Man, y'all have been in y'all bag the whole podcast, man. This is phenomenal. So I can't say I know exactly what you were gonna say, but I can say I know what you were gonna say. And I want to say this to you guys, because I want to challenge you. The first thing is, know that winning doesn't look the same for everyone. And you're like, well, what does he mean by that? Winning doesn't look the same for everyone, because primarily we talked about our community, but in doing so, we give examples of what other communities look like, right? So we can have like, okay, you got to have something to compare it to. It's not just like, well, this is just jacked up over here. In comparison to what? So when we talk about the state of Texas, they've been very clear. They've been crystal clear on what they want their school districts to look like. When you listen to the state of Florida, the governor, he's crystal clear about what he wants the schools to look like in the state of Florida. I said that to say this to us. Maybe you guys can't remember it. Maybe it happened even before you were born. I'm not sure. But I remember the day when they took prayer out of school. I remember going to school where we used to pray before school started. I remember when they took prayer out of school, and I remember the parents went crazy. And I was wondering why my mom wasn't championing any of those discussions. And I remember hearing her say, like, okay, they have the power to take it out. They can't take prayer out of my home. I'm going to teach you how, I'm going to put prayer in you. They can't take prayer out of you. And then she said, if you're ever dealing with a situation at school, you can pray at school. When she said that, it's like a light went off. And it's almost like certain shackles on my mind went off, because it's like, she's right. They put a location on something. And if we're not careful, we'll make the location where they put boundaries on something, we'll put those boundaries on everything. And we do that sometimes in our community. So I say winning doesn't look the same for everyone. When I hear you talk about that, Bria, maybe it's time for you to have your own curriculum and your own course. I mean, you just happen to be talking to somebody who knows how to set the website up, you know how to do those. You can have your own. And then not only that, it doesn't have to be something that's just free. You know, you can offer it to people who underprivileged and can't afford it. For those that can't afford it, they need to invest in it, those type of things. Why can't you live, breathe, and have something that you're passionate about? My mentor told me years ago, Harry, when you're functioning your passions, when you're doing them the right way, he says, when you're asleep at night, they'll be reaping a reward for you. He said, that's the place that you want to be. If you have to earn money through an 8 to 5, you're missing it. He said, you're going to learn a principle where when you're laying down at night, those passions are yielding a reward. And then you understand, God says, I'll give people for thee. In other words, people will believe in the vision. They'll believe in me. They'll believe in the integrity that we stand on and want to partner with us to make it happen. So I would tell you, I've listened to you the whole podcast, Brie. You could do that in your sleep. But what happens is opportunity, right? Having the team of people to help you do it, getting it off the ground, finding where you want it. Because what I've learned is sometimes I partner with schools. And what I learned is they're institution like other institutions. And because of government, state laws, they're going to function a certain way, no matter what we say. So what we do is we figure out the sauce within the system so we can bring the thing in. But when we want to have the control and be who we want to be, we end up having to have our own. And I've learned too, when we have our own thing and do it the right way, they'll come to us for the sauce. So I would encourage you just to ponder it, think about it, massage it. Maybe find someone who's doing it. You don't have to know them if you can study them from afar. But man, they have so many platforms where you could create the curriculum, put it in there, and the cost of it is nothing. I'm telling you, it's nothing. So you could put it into place, and you're like, well, hey, I have this job. Well, that job is just an investor into your vision. You never know what it does, because what happens is you begin to meet an immediate need. I'll say this. You guys know this to be truth. People that's moving and shaking, Bill Gates moving and shaking because he's a problem solver. Every house has a desktop, some type of computer in it. Every device has Word, Excel, Publisher, Access. You get what I'm saying? Steve Jobs, the problem solver. The iPhone, whether you hate it, like it, iPad, any of the Apple products, whether you hate them or like, they solve a problem. They created a whole lane. Without their products, we don't have the term influence creator, content creator. Their products, YouTube, where would you view YouTube on? I'm just saying it's
That's true.
so if you can solve a problem, I'm telling you, it's in your, let me say this, your passion, if you have a pain about a thing, that's the passion is in it. I'm doing the podcast, it's birthed out of a painful thing. You can't stop this blaze, it's birthed out of a painful thing. Me not having my father, me having to struggle in so many areas of my life. But I was blessed to have surrogate fathers. So now I understand I'm a surrogate father to so many, right? Strength for Today publishing, it birthed out of a pain. I start seeing my son go through some of the same things I went through. I was like, no. I'm gonna catch him 25 years before. I'm gonna give him the tools now. I wouldn't have never wrote a book had not been for my son. I didn't even know I was an author. So this second book that's getting ready to come out of Cows for Change, y'all better buckle up. I'm in my bag on it. I know I am. I know I am. Like I found something I didn't know was there. So I'm gonna write books for the rest of my life. And so I'm telling you, you have this thing with finances. You said it. You was in the claims department. You say, I don't want to talk to people. But now you're a project manager, problem solver. So anyway, keep the main thing the main thing. I just want to end the podcast with that, saying that to you, because I think Destiny, I already know I'll be on Destiny. Like, girl, Destiny gonna be the next mayor of Houston. Like, don't find me a job, Destiny. Don't find me a job. I ain't tripping. Just put me somewhere where you know I'm gonna make impact. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. You ain't gotta worry about me getting in trouble. I ain't gonna be caught up in no scandal. You know what I mean? I just give me the key to the city one day. Ain't nothing big. You know what I mean? No, I believe in your generation, and me and my wife, we're gonna demonstrate supporting and putting things in place. So I'm putting together. I don't know if it's gonna be called this, but it's gonna have a family reunion feel, and I'm gonna bring all these different talents, all these different passions together. And yes, it is gonna be a networking event, but it's also gonna be a problem-solving think tank. We're gonna come together. We're gonna have some great food, some great entertainment. But when we leave from there, we're all gonna feel better about the things we care about. And not only that, when you leave, the people that I'm bringing, my prayers that connections that happen, we can get some things done in our city and in our communities. I feel like that's an obligation of us to do that. I'm leveraging every relationship that I have. I can't wait for some of y'all to meet. Otherwise, like, I wouldn't have never met Destiny if it weren't for Q. We wouldn't even have this podcast. And so because, Q at the block, I met Destiny. Now I met Destiny. Now I met Bree. I got another daughter. You see what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't. And I know we're saying having fun, but that's how it happens. That's how it happens. And enough of us get together. I'm telling you, you're looking at the new Black Wall Street. And we absolutely should be striving to have some new Black Wall Streets. Absolutely. It ain't no knock on the other race. It ain't no knock on anybody. We just need to do the things that we need to do for ourselves, period. And so, man, this is another one. New Balance Podcast. Show some love for Bria and Destiny, man. This has been fire. I want to be on the job for like 3 more hours. I got so much. And that's what it should be. The Bible talked about how when Mary and Elizabeth, when they came into each other's presence, the Bible says that John leaped in the womb, that Jesus leaped in the womb. In other words, when the purpose got together, it stimulated life in one another. And I'm looking for relationships that when we come together, you make my baby jump. I make your baby jump. He's like, man, I don't know what it is about that old man. I don't know what it is about that old joker. I don't know what it is about that old joker, but I need to connect with him. I want to see what they have going on. And I think that's what it's about. So this is good. ladies, I want each one of you to give us some closing words. This is going to be good. I can't wait to get it out. But give us some closing words before we get out of here. And then in doing so, in your closing words, I don't know if you have social media, Bria, or if you're wanting people to follow you, because we already know she. But I know Destiny with what she does. Obviously, she is wanting followers. Listen, go out, buy her books. When she's at an event, definitely go roll up on her, show her some love, that type of thing. But yeah, give us some closing thoughts. And if you want to share that, you can share it and let people know how they can get to you and get at you.
My closing thoughts would be when we talk about, because the title of it is coming up for air. My closing thoughts would be that I know Destiny mentioned earlier, like she was doggy paddling for a long time. And I think at some point we all go through that. At some point we all go through like, I just can't catch a break.
Right.
But the break comes.
Yes, it does.
Mixed with consistency and positive thoughts, and being faithful to what you believe in, it comes. You can come up for air eventually. You just gotta keep going. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. It does happen eventually. And I don't have a personal social media. I'm not really on social media. But my budget, you can follow my budget Instagram is Bria at Bria Budget.
I got it. I'm definitely jumping on to follow you. Good. Great student. I love that. I love that forecast you just gave. Talk to us, Destiny.
Well, y'all know my quote, no vision, no life.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
I think it just speak volumes because I don't think you could do anything in life without one. Yes. So, you know, like Bria said, I think a lot of people in life are kind of get caught underwater, but you just got to doggy pedal your way. And after doggy pedaling, you can learn how to swim, and pretty soon you'll be swimming. But the vision is key. Yes.
Yes. Have y'all, they've been in a bag the whole time. I mean, dropping. Man, this is crazy. This is so good. Like, come on, subscribers. Y'all know, I'm going to have them back on for some other stuff. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. This has been so good for me. I love it when we have that energy and that synergy. And like I said, I feel like this is going to be one where people, I want them to go back and listen to it. And the guy's like, man, dude, if you just want views, just say, go back and watch it. I said, man, whatever you say, homie, I'm asking you to go back and watch it, because for me, even though I was on here with the ladies, I'm going to go back and watch it because there are some things I may have missed in the moment. But when I listened to it a second time, I didn't even see that or get that perspective from it. So faith comes by hearing. He didn't say faith comes by you heard the word. He said faith comes by hearing. Trust me, if you doggy paddling, you need some faith that you can swim up out this thing. I'm just saying, it is what it is. So there you have it. Another episode of Coming Up for Air. Destiny, Bria, we appreciate your labor of love so much. And as we always say, man, it's strength for today, sustenance for tomorrow. It's your boy H2O. We'll see you next episode. Big love. Peace.